I want to thank you for that. I've worked on the Immigration Committee for a number of years. I've been an advocate of fair immigration policy, and I've been an advocate of reunifying families faster. The Conservatives came into play, and when they came into power, sponsoring a family from overseas went drastically up by 23 months longer out of China, Sri Lanka, 86 months, which is 30 months longer. And now the Minister of Immigration is saying that he's going to use his power in order to limit the amount of people that are coming in. He's going to cut it from 16,000 cases per year of a family class, this is parents and grandparents, down to 10. That's an increase of about 60%. So for example, something that is taken right now 23 months longer is going to take another 30 months plus even longer. So the waiting times are going to skyrocket. So if you're sponsoring a mother or a father and right now it takes 8 years, you're looking at the 12 years. So if you're sponsoring a mother and a father to come to Canada to help you raise your children, they won't get to come here until they're 12 years old. This is the inability of this government to understand the fundamentals of family reunification, of families being kept together, parents, grandparents, family, and children being kept together. Now, we talked about refugees. There's people that come to our shores. Every 10 minutes there's somebody that comes to our shores claiming refugee status for all kinds of reasons. Some people have chosen to come by boat, and that is the backdrop that the Conservative government is using and saying, oh no, we're being invaded. Let's not forget the Gatamagatamuru in the 1910s, and let's not forget the spirit of St. Louis when we turned away people that were going to Cuba, Jews, and then they came to Canada. We turned them away. They went back to Holland in order to end up in Auschwitz. This is the policies that this Conservative government wants to instill. Well, somebody that comes to Canada should be given fair access to our system. That's what C-11 was all about. That's what we supported last year. And right now they're bringing C-49 and wants to gut us out.
Thank you. Ms. Pauline Thompson, you may go next.
So first and foremost, the Green Party believes that equal opportunity and treatment must be ensured for all immigrants. You know, this backlog we have has been made worse by our post-9/11 climate. You know, there is a fear of who you let into the country and what kind of threat that may pose to national security. But you know, it should be blatantly obvious that there are certain groups of people that pose no threat whatsoever, and they shouldn't have to wait a long time to get themselves and their families into the country. We need to have, obviously, more people there processing these applications to the country. And, you know, it's important that their credentials and their skills that they have to bring to Canada be recognized and allow them to quickly work in their trained profession.
Thank you.
Well, just a point, I'm not sure what you mean by, and we can discuss this in the debate, what you meant by there are obviously certain groups of people that it should be blatantly obvious that they don't pose a threat. It sounds a little bit like profiling to me, which worries me. But to get to the question, we talked before about the aging population, and the aging population and the fact that we're not having enough babies means that we need to have immigrants coming to our country, and I think it's a wonderful thing. It brings the diversity and the flavor that is Canada, and that's unique. I think that when you ask, you know, how do you find the balance, I don't think you ever stop looking to see whether you're doing the right thing. It's not that you put down in black and white, this is where we want to be. I think you need to always be reevaluating. How is the country doing? How many new immigrants should we be letting in? And we always need to have space for refugees, because there are many people living in situations that I can't imagine living in, and we need to have open doors for them. I'd also like to mention that as an MP, to represent people who are affected by immigration policies, which really is all of Canada, but it affects some people more than others, I will be an advocate for new immigrants, but I will also actually develop and support policy that really will affect their lives and make their lives better. And I will also represent them in Parliament, because I think it's absolutely a crucial part of our job. It's part of democracy that the Member of Parliament has to be in Parliament voting on issues that matter to their constituents.
Thank you.
Sorry.
we have follow-up questions?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Have you spoken?
okay.
Uh,
To Nancy's question,
no,
to me, or?
questions
But
first,
you know,
and then
you
we'll
know
head
what?
into the
I'd
debate.
like to, if I may, I have a problem with what you said, and I think that, and you picked up on it, and it's very important. I think you need to clarify some of the words that you use. Maybe you didn't use them wisely, or maybe that's the Green Platform. So, if you may, I'd like to give her an opportunity to clarify the fact that, you know, we have one society, one set of rules that apply to the Chinese, one set of rules that apply to the Arabs,
let's let her clarify.
and one set of rules that applies to everybody, because you cannot, you know, put more checking on the Tamils where you have dual and triple interviews on security as the Conservative government is doing right now. And it's a shame that Harry Chai is not here than other people. So I think we need to clarify that.
I think I started off by saying that the Green Party believes in equal opportunity and treatment to all applicants. So that points to the actual application process that needs to be thorough enough, and it needs to do its due diligence to ensure that the applicants are in no way, shape or form a risk to national security. But it applies universally. Equal access to all.
And Peter, you agree that that's been done right now? People, in order to come to Canada, go through a number of levels, RCMP, CSIS, the black hole and immigration and all that stuff. And that applies to everybody equally. So there's nobody that doesn't go through that. It doesn't matter if you come from Russia, it doesn't matter if you come from China or anywhere else in the world. In some places, it might take a little longer because those people, this government doesn't welcome as fast.
But yes, in fact, if we're going to invite new immigrants to come to our country, as we should be doing, as we are doing, we need to treat them fairly when they get here. And that means that they shouldn't be bogged down in red tape for 10 or 13 years waiting for their family members to get here. They shouldn't be lost in a foreign country, unable to speak the language without any support services available.
Actually, it's unable to get a job. So actually, to me, it would be like this. Effective immigration would be giving the new immigrants a chance to get a job.
Exactly.
And one of the things is that we were speaking to the audience in the Chinese community is I would ask all of you good 10 candidates, how can we integrate immigration policy with China trade and Canada-China relations? Because that would give the Chinese community opportunities.
Okay, you each have 1 minute to answer.
So the question is, how can you get to have an effective immigration policy by having it related to China trade and Canada-China relations?
Would you like me to start? Sure. Okay. Well,
And what have you done about it before?
I think what's really important is that we have transparency. I think that very often we're enticing people to come to Canada based on their job skills, and then they get here and they're not able to practice them. And it's a surprise to a lot of people when this happens. So I think it's important that our accreditation program is in place and possibly, well, not possibly, but definitely integrated with the embassies in foreign countries so that people know exactly what they'll be able to do when they get to the country and what steps they'll have to go through, if any, to practice in the area that they're trained in. But not everybody that comes is trained in a certain field, and we need to have services to help them get jobs too. This is why I think that settlement services are very important. I think they need full funding to help people learn the language, to help people get jobs and become part of Canadian society.
Actually, we have settlement services already. The only
We
thing
do,
is
but
that,
$53 million has been set to settlement
we'll leave the
services.
time for Ms. Pauline Thompson to speak.
Okay, but did you want to finish your thought?
the thing is that the quality of the services, that's what I'd like to ask, see how you can upgrade the quality.
Well, when you cut $43 million
said
from
1 minute each,
Ontario,
right?
We'll have to
yes.
leave
1
the
minute
time for
each?
Ms. Pauline Thompson. And
I'm sorry, I thought he was asking you a question because I made the comment.
I thought that we said 1 minute apiece.
Yeah.
Now, I understand that you're gung-ho and ready to go, but let's play fair with the rules.
All right, you may go
I
ahead.
don't think there's any need to be patronizing. Go ahead.
So to answer your question, you know, I think the language issue is a huge barrier for successfully getting a job. in the broad picture. So you really do have to get the immigrants up to speed with the English language to a level that they can perform in whatever job it is they choose to perform. And I think that's sort of, I can't see how to make that easier if the language itself is no longer a barrier, because they come already with skills and able to make a contribution, but it's difficult to communicate those skills if you don't speak English. So
thank you. Mr. Karvgiannis, you may go ahead.
I want to read a statement on immigration which Stephen Harper said many years ago. You have to remember that the west of Winnipeg, the ridings the Liberals hold, are dominated by people that are either recent Asian migrants or recent migrants from Eastern Canada, people who live in ghettos and who do not integrate into Western Canadian society. That's a fact, it was said. As far as people coming from China, China is our second largest trading partner. Chinese immigration to Canada since early 90s, after Tiananmen Square, it opened up. And there's about 50,000 people that come from China and Canada, and they add positively to China. You have captains in all fields of Canadian society that are from China that are adding. One of the things that we got to do is enhance what's there. $53 million was just taken away from Toronto. And places like CICS, DCCSA, and all the service providers that are in this area, unfortunately don't have the money because the Conservatives took it away.
Sorry, time's up.